There aren't many rivalries that go back as far as Accord versus Camry. They've been trading blows since the early 80s, and even today they still argue about who sells the most. The Camry has technically outsold the Accord for the last 15 years, but Honda argues that the Accord has sold more retail units, so they also claim to be the best-selling midsize sedan. While I don't know who should really own that title, this video will instead figure out which of these all-new midsizers is the best all-arounder. So without further ado, let's get into this ultra-competitive comparison. For this comparison, we chose the entry-level sport trims, since they offer good looks, good standard equipment, and affordable price tags. Predictably, these are also the best-selling trims. Starting with the Camry, this is the SE trim, which starts at a very reasonable $25,200. Now we do have a few options added to that, which are blind spot monitoring, a convenience package, and all-weather floor mats. After adding in the destination charge, that brings the total to $27,564. Moving on to the Accord, we have the Sport trim, which starts out a bit more expensive. The base price is $25,780, but as you might know, Honda doesn't offer any factory options. All we have are a couple accessories, like all-weather floor mats, and the destination charge, which bring the total up to $27,153. That puts the price difference at only $411, which is the first of many examples of just how competitive these two are. Now that we've established the basis, let's get into the comparison. The first thing we'll start with is the key fobs. On the Camry, we have the all-new key fob, since the convenience package includes smart key entry. I like the look of it, though it doesn't feel much different from the old one. On the Accord, all models get their typical high-quality key fob, but we don't have smart entry, so you have to unlock it from here. Therefore, the Camry will get the first point here. Before we check out the all-new designs inside and out, we will first compare what's under the hood. The Camry and Accord used to be very much alike mechanically, but for 2018 they have split in almost every regard. Starting with the engines, both are all new, but Honda opted to take a higher tech approach. This 1.5-liter four-cylinder is turbocharged, and it makes 192 horsepower and 192 pound-feet of torque. Toyota, on the other hand, stuck with a more traditional route. It uses a naturally aspirated 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine, making a class-leading 203 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. The transmissions are also very different, with Honda using a continuously variable transmission compared to an 8-speed automatic in the Toyota. Now I know not everyone feels this way, but most prefer the power delivery of a traditional automatic over a CVT, so Camry will get the point. From my experience, the Camry felt a bit peppier, either due to that CVT or perhaps some turbo lag. Moving on to fuel economy, things are the opposite of what you would expect. The small displacement turbo engine in the Accord actually achieves worse MPGs at 29 city, 35 highway, 31 combined, compared to 28 city, 39 highway, 32 combined in the Camry SE. That said, these are two of the most efficient offerings in the class, and big improvements over their previous generations. Now that that stuff is out of the way, let's move on to the all-new exterior styling and features. The first thing I like to start off with is the overall front and rear styling. Neither of these look very much like their predecessors, but the Camry is closer. Its spindle grille has been expanded, and now a body-colored piece drops down inside of it. The inside is still made of black mesh. The Accord also opted for a large black grille, but it has a less aggressive shape. On the Sport, the top portion is dark chrome instead of shiny chrome, like the rest of the trims. That trim extends over the new headlights, which are now fully LED. They look very upscale, basically as if they were lifted straight from the Acura TLX. The Camry's headlights are also fully LED, although they don't look quite as upscale. Overall, I don't find either of them to be especially attractive, but I'll give the point to the Accord for having nicer looking headlights and LED fog lamps, which is something the Camry doesn't offer at all. In the rear, both cars look unique, but to my eye, the Camry definitely looks better. While they both have spoilers, dual exhaust, and LED taillights, the Camry looks more cohesive. Now we will start working our way around the cars and all of the features. Starting with the wheels, the Camry SE gives you 18-inch alloys with a high contrast design. But the Accord Sport impressively gives you 1-inch larger 19-inch alloys, with a design that honestly looks a lot better than the top-end touring trim. The Accord takes the point here. For brakes, they both have ventilated front disc brakes and solid rear disc brakes, with the Accords being a little bit bigger. Coming to the mirrors, the Camrys are more feature-rich. They are heated, have turn signals, and have blind spot monitoring, none of which can be added to the Accord Sport. As far as warranties, they share 3-year 36,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranties, and 5-year 60,000-mile powertrain warranties. Both also have roadside assistance, though only the Toyota gives you 2 years of complimentary maintenance. A bigger consideration is safety ratings, and both of these are sure to do great. While there are no official ratings, the Camry and Accord offer the highest level of standard safety equipment in the segment, with emergency pre-collision braking, lane departure warning with lane keeping assist, automatic high beam headlights, and adaptive cruise control, all standard. All the other rivals make you pay extra for these. Coming to fuel tanks, the Camry gives you 16 gallons, while the Accord gives you 14.8 gallons. Since fuel economy is pretty similar, of course that means the Camry has the bigger range, at 512 miles versus only 459 miles for the Accord. Both use regular unleaded fuel. Well, that wraps up everything on the outside, so now let's see how the interiors stack up. As much as the exteriors changed, the interiors arguably changed even more. Starting out with the Camry, things have moved from bland and plain Jane to dramatic and exciting. And ours is obviously black, but you can get ash gray if you prefer. For the Accord, it kind of goes the opposite way. What used to be a complex and somewhat odd-looking cabin has now been changed out for a simple, clean, sophisticated look. Its interior is also black, which is the only choice. In regards to the seats themselves, the Camry has an 8-way power seat, while the Accord has an impressive 12-way power seat. They are both made of cloth in the center and stitched black leatherette on the outside. Neither of them are heated or have memory on these trims. It's worth noting that the Accord's doors feel a lot more solid. First looking around, I think both cabins look visually appealing, but in totally different ways. They both also have improved material quality. On the Camry, you have soft touch plastic across all the upper portion. And in the middle, you have this really cool looking trim that contours to the dash. Below it, you have some leatherette trim, which extends down toward the passenger's knee area. Finally, fit and finish is impressive, especially considering the complexity of this design. For the Accord, the upper dash is also soft touch plastic. And in the middle, you'll find some fake carbon fiber trim, which I actually like in this application. The lower areas are hard touch, but everything has a solidity that is uncommon at this price point. However, when we look at the door trims, they begin to separate. The Accord gives you stitched leather on the armrest and above it, while also having more of that carbon fiber trim. By comparison, the Camry's door trim looks and feels cheap, so Accord will take the material quality point. Press the button to start both models. You'll find an 8-inch high-resolution screen on the Accord, which makes the Camry's 7-inch lower-res screen look very cheap. Moving on to the gauges, the Accord again offers the better value. While the Camry has the typical analog setup and a separate 4.2-inch multifunction display, the Accord went with a half digital and a half analog setup. The screen is really big, and high-res enough that I didn't even realize the tach was digital at first. Overall, this is something you usually only see in luxury cars or on the highest trims, so the Accord takes the point. Both cars have electric power steering, and both wheels are leather wrapped and manual tilt and telescoping. Honda usually has the edge when it comes to storage, but in this case they are more or less the same. To my eyes, the center consoles look the same size, though the Honda does have a sliding tray. Up in the front, both have a nice area to place your phone or sunglasses, with the Toyota having a second layer. For connections, the Accord has an extra 12-volt outlet in the console, but the Camry has an aux jack, so no point here also. Both cars continue to offer traditional leather-wrapped shifters. Both also allow for manual shifting via the standard paddle shifters. Once you go into reverse, both cars have standard backup cameras, but the point will go to the Accord for being higher quality and having dynamic guidelines. Behind the shifter, the Accord Sport gives you an electronic parking brake and brake hold feature, whereas Toyota reserves those for only the higher end trims. Coming to the climate, the SE comes with single zone automatic, while the Sport has dual zone automatic. You can option on dual zone to the Camry SE, but again that costs extra. The layout is nicer on the Accord, and the actual buttons feel borrowed from Audi. Now let's listen to both of their 6-speaker audio systems.
This is a Ryan Little production.
For sound quality, I'd give the slight edge to the Camry, though I'm pretty sure my old 2003 Ford Taurus sounded better than both of them. Now let's go ahead and check out the infotainment systems. Starting out with the Toyota, you have Intune 3.0. Honestly, it's not all that different from the old version as far as how everything is laid out, but you can definitely tell that the hardware behind the scenes has been upgraded. I also like that you have physical shortcut buttons along the side of the screen. Everything responds quickly and has pleasing animations. We still do not have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Toyota instead makes you use their app suite and a separate Scout GPS app for navigating. Coming to the Honda, things look more modern and are even more responsive compared to Intune. Gone is the complicated 2-screen setup of the old model, and now the only buttons are just some shortcuts along the side of the tablet-like screen. All the features are the same as the Camry, but we do have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay instead of a complicated app suite. Overall, both systems are big improvements over their old versions, but Honda Link is easier to understand and has more modern features. Moving up, you'll find an auto-dimming mirror with a compass and HomeLink universal remote on the Camry, but only a manual one on the Accord. Neither of them have moonroofs, though you can get one on the Camry. Overall, it feels like Toyota holds back a lot in the cabin unless you get the higher end trims, while the Accord Sport gives you 90% of what you'd find on the high-end touring trim. It's undoubtedly the better value on the inside. The back seats are also very important in a family sedan, so let's go ahead and move on to those. The rear seats of the Camry and Accord offer some of the largest accommodations in the class, but neither of them have the edge. The Accord will give you 2 inches more legroom at 40.4 versus 38, but the Camry will give you about an inch more headroom at 38 versus 37.3 inches. Once in the back, neither of them offers much in terms of accommodations, since these are the lower end models. Actually, looking at the legroom, as you can tell, it's massive on both. On both models, you can release the trunk with the fob. Once inside, you'll find a very large 15.1 cubic feet of capacity on the Camry, but a massive 16.7 cubic feet on the Accord. That number exceeds the capacity of the 17-foot-long Mercedes S-Class sedan, to give you some reference of just how big that is. Well, that pretty much wraps up this very close comparison video. Both these cars represent a top-notch performance by their respective brands, and I see no reason why they won't continue to be the best-selling options in the class. If you are choosing between them, please check them out in person, because certain characteristics matter more to certain people. But all in all, I don't think you can go wrong. Anyways, thanks for joining us on this Car Confections comparison, and be sure to subscribe for more comparisons and our signature full review videos. Take care.